What is good, guys? What is good? Just saw the report. Eagles fans, my fellow Eagles fans, where can you see my flag? Can you see my flag? You can't see it. Anyways, noticed that we were interviewing Bobby Slowik, and Bobby Slowik is kind of the guy during this whole time that I'm kind of like, interview that dude, right? Like, I know I obviously did not work out with the Texans. They ended up letting him go after last year. After the 2024 season, they ended up letting him go. He goes to Miami with Mike McDaniel for a year. He was there this last year. And McDaniel ended up getting fired. Coaching staff kind of, And Bobby Slowik is a name that I've seen people talk about, but the Eagles haven't interviewed him up until now. And that's a guy that I'm interested in. I like Bobby Slowik, and I thought he was pretty good with the Texans. And now I know it didn't work out. A lot of people were kind of blaming him for, predictability on offense. And with some OCs, just speaking of that, some OCs, even some of the OCs that people consider some of the best. I mean, Joe Brady spams some of the same plays and just tunes things just a little bit. And the Bills have had success. Bobby Slowik, I'm sure he does some of that same type of shit. But I feel like he gets caught up in it just like any other coach, right? Running some of the same stuff, too many screens. But I'm telling you this, man, like him going to Miami with McDaniel, he could have picked up many things in that year with McDaniel. I'm just saying that right now. He was the passing game coordinator, and I know it wasn't explosive. Not everything was explosive with Miami this last year, but with the Mike McDaniel offense, things are very explosive. You're going to sit here and tell me that Bobby Slowik did not pick up anything from that mad genius Mike McDaniel? Because just in my opinion, I bet you he picked up stuff from Mike McDaniel. And so now I'm looking at Bobby Slowik, and like, I know people talk about him. Texas fans sit here and talk about him. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You guys had offensive line problems. Maybe there was some predictability on offense. And there was a clear regression from CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud in that 2024 year. Okay, so let's just go through it. CJ Stroud in his rookie year, he went 26-5. Okay, Bobby Slowik was the LC. The next year, 2024, CJ Stroud goes 21-13, 21 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. So Bobby Slowik got blamed for that, right? Like a lot of people were blaming him. A lot of people were blaming him for the offensive line having problems, along with injuries on that offensive line, mind you. Okay, and then this next year, he's not there. He's not on the Texans. CJ Stroud goes 21-13. He literally had an identical season to what he had with Bobby Slowik. Matter of fact, it's similar in TDs and interceptions, but the one thing that it went down in is his yards. 700 less passing yards without Bobby Slowik. So what does that tell you? Was it really Bobby Slowik? Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like Slowik wasn't part of the problem with the Texans offense. Like, he has his faults. But I'm like, that is a major regression from CJ Stroud. And people blaming him, I'm like, we just watched CJ Stroud in the playoffs. We watched him this last year. How much of it was Bobby Slowik? Now, you have a head coach that's defensive minded, so there's going to be a lot of focus on that offense, especially, a defensive unit like the Houston Texans. They're considered elite this year, even though they got bounced, but they were still good last year. So you're going to have to perform on offense. For whatever reason, Texans couldn't do it. Bobby Slowik got a lot of blame. I always thought that it was a little weird, right? But the Philadelphia Eagles interviewing him, I'm like, dude, you have a lot of weapons at your disposal. We'll see what happens with A.J. Brown, right? We don't know if A.J. Brown's going to be there. But if you get A.J. Brown back, you still have Devontae. You got weapons at your disposal. If the Eagles can get their offensive line playing better in this upcoming season, just solid. That's all the Eagles offensive line unit needs to be, is just solid. And I mean, I haven't seen a year like this from their offensive line for a bit. Like, it's been a hot bit. Like, since Carson Wentz in like his second to last year, they were bad then. Doug Peterson's like his last year or whatever. There's a clear regression there with Stoutland, but I'm expecting them to be better. So just Slowik coming in. I mean, you have a lot of weapons at your disposal, man. And, Slowik coming in, I hope that Nick Sirianni just kind of they give him full autonomy like they said they would with Dayball and McDaniel. Just let him go out there and do his thing on offense, man. Like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But just let him do his thing on offense. Let him and Stout cook. Nick just needs to keep his paws off. But I'm all for this Bobby Slowik hiring. I really am. Like, I think Bobby Slowik is our guy. I really do. I think a second chance with a fully stacked Eagles roster, and they're still pretty stacked on offense. Let's not act like they aren't. Like, even if they were to get rid of A.J. Brown, hell, for all we know, they retain Jahan Dotson. Like, Jahan's he's a pretty solid wide receiver. I know he didn't get thrown to a lot, but he's a solid wide receiver. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But he's your guy. He's your guy. Like, I would be very excited for Bobby Slowik with the Eagles offense over the Houston Texans. Because the Houston Texans, I didn't even think they had that good of an offensive line, dude. Even with Laramie Tunsil, like I just didn't think they had really good guys on their offensive line. And I'm not gonna entirely blame the OC for that, but he was part of it. I'm not gonna act like he doesn't deserve any blame. But him coming over to Philly, I just could see it being pretty fairly decent to good, if not just great. But I could see it being much better than people would anticipate, because people get narratives off of head coaches. Head coaches bounce around a lot, dude. Head coaches get experience. That's exactly what Slowik did by going and being a passing game coordinator for Mike McDaniel. Like, that has me excited in itself. It's like, dude, some of the concepts that Mike McDaniel runs, you're telling me that Bobby Slowik didn't pick up any of that? Nah, I'm telling you that he picked up some of that in a year. Like, he was in the playbook with the coaches. And let's be real, I'm not the biggest Kyle Shanahan fan, but Bobby Slowik falls under that Shanahan tree. And like I said, I'm not the biggest fan. I think some of those guys are kind of a little bit cocky for me. But me just saying that just because I'm not into it, those dudes know ball. Like, those dudes know ball when it comes to offense. And if you have anybody from the Shanahan tree in the building, you know what I mean, in the building on your team, that's a guy you want. I'm just telling you that right now. That's a guy you want. Even if, you know, they don't live up to the hype of like a Shanahan or a McVay. They're smart minds. They're smart minds, and they kind of pick off of each other. And so, you know, you look at Sean McVay, you look at Kyle Shanahan, you look at Matt LaFleur, you look at McDaniel, you look at the Kubiaks, like Bobby Slowik being under that. Yeah, man. Like, I want something like that in the building. I do. I just do. I need a breath of fresh air. I need some cool West Coast offense. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I've kind of been on the Bobby Slowik train. Like, the Eagles just haven't interviewed him. And I'm like, why don't they kind of look at Bobby Slowik? Like, he could have like another year just to kind of, you know, kind of prove himself. But yeah, we'll see what happens. You guys let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Be sure to drop a like, be sure to subscribe to your boy, and be sure to follow me on Instagram. Anyways, guys, appreciate you watching. It's your boy Shady Luke, and I'm Mighty. I'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.